My name is Peter, and I've been a widower for exactly 612 days. They tell you that grief gets easier with time, but they're lying. It doesn't get easier, you just get used to the wait. My wife, Susan, and I were married for 41 years. For most of that time, I thought I was a great husband. I worked hard, I never cheated, and I kept the house in perfect repair. But a few months ago, while I was cleaning out her bedside drawer, I found a small leather-bound journal. I thought it was a recipe book or a diary of her garden. I was wrong. I opened it to a random page from 1998, and the words I read felt like a physical blow to my chest. She wrote, "Tonight, Peter won another argument. He proved he was right like he always does, and once again I feel like a stranger in my own skin. I'd trade 1,000 of his victories for just 1 minute of him truly seeing me." I sat on that bed for 3 hours, reading page after page of my own failures. You see, I was a man who valued logic above everything else. I thought that in a marriage, the goal was to find the correct solution. If Susan wanted to paint the kitchen yellow and I thought gray was more practical, I'd provide a 10-point presentation on why I was right. I'd win the argument, the kitchen would be gray, and I'd walk away feeling satisfied. I never noticed that every time I won, Susan shrank just a little bit more. I never realized that by being right, I was slowly building a wall of ice between us. I was so busy winning the battles that I didn't realize I was losing the person I loved. I look at our wedding photo now and see two people who were ready to take on the world. Look at us in 1982. We were 25, broke, and so full of fire. I remember promising her that I would take care of her, and I did in the most clinical, mechanical way possible. I provided the health insurance, the 401k, and the safe neighborhood. But in her journal, she didn't write about the money or the house. She wrote about the time she tried to tell me about her fear of getting older, and I told her she was being irrational. She wrote about the night she wanted to go dancing in the rain, and I told her we'd catch a cold, and I thought I was being the responsible one. I didn't realize I was just being a prison guard for her joy. By the time I turned 50, I had perfected the art of being an adequate husband. I was home every night by 6. I mowed the lawn every Saturday morning until it looked like a professional ballpark. I paid all the bills on time, and I never raised my voice. On paper, I was the American dream, but in the quiet moments between us, I was a ghost. I remember one Friday evening, Susan was sitting at the kitchen table, looking at a travel brochure for Scotland. Her grandmother had been from the Highlands, and Susan had dreamed of seeing the mist on the moors since she was a little girl. She looked at me with this spark in her eyes, a spark I hadn't seen in years, and said, "Peter, let's just go. Next month, let's finally see where I came from." Do you know what I did? I didn't even look up from my laptop. I just started listing the reasons why it was a bad idea. The interest rates were up. We needed to save for the kids' weddings. I had a big project at work. I told her, "Maybe in a few years, Susan, when it's more practical." She didn't ask again. Not that year, not the year after. She just put the brochure in a drawer and went back to making dinner. That was the pattern of our life. She would reach out with a dream, a suggestion, or a simple request for connection, and I would meet her with logic. She wanted to take a pottery class together. I told her it was a waste of money. She wanted to stay up late and talk about our fears. I told her we needed our sleep for work the next day. I thought I was protecting our future. I thought I was being the responsible leader of the household. But as I read her journal now, I see what I was really doing. Every no I gave her was a brick I was placing in a wall that eventually became so high we couldn't see each other anymore. In 2005, she wrote, "I live in a beautiful house with a man who takes care of everything except my heart. I'm surrounded by comfort, yet I am starving for a single moment of spontaneity. I think Peter loves the idea of me, but he don't want the reality of me." We became roommates who happened to share a last name. We had our routines. We watched the news at 7, ate dinner at 7:30, were in bed by 10. We were polite, we were considerate, but we weren't close. I remember a night, maybe 10 years ago, when we were lying in bed and the silence was so heavy it felt like it was crushing the air out of the room. Susan reached out and touched my arm. Just a small, gentle touch. I was tired and I had a meeting at 8 the next morning. I didn't pull away, but I didn't turn toward her either. I just patted her hand and said, "Get some sleep, Sue. Big day tomorrow." I heard her sigh in the dark, a long, shaky breath that I now realize was a sound of a woman finally giving up on her husband. She stopped reaching out after that. She found her own hobbies, her own friends, her own world. I thought everything was fine because we weren't fighting. I didn't realize that silence is far more dangerous than screaming. Screaming means there's still passion. Silence means the fire is out. The big day I was always preparing for finally arrived 6 years ago. But it wasn't the kind of day I expected. It was a Tuesday in March. Susan had gone in for a routine checkup because of some stomach pain. By that evening, our world had been dismantled. Pancreatic cancer, stage 4. The doctor sat us down in a small windowless office and used words like aggressive, palliative care. He told us we had 4 months, maybe less. I remember walking out to the parking lot, the late afternoon sun hitting the pavement, and feeling like the earth had suddenly lost its gravity. I looked at Susan, and for the first time in decades, I didn't have a logical answer. I couldn't provide a solution. I couldn't write my way out of this. I reached out to take her hand, and it felt so small, so fragile. She looked at me and whispered, "I guess we're never going to see Scotland, Peter." Those 4 months were the most honest months of our 41 years together. When you have a deadline, you stop talking about the weather and the bills. We spent our days in the hospice room, and for the first time, I actually listened to her. Really listened, without trying to fix her or without trying to be right. She told me things that broke my heart. She told me about the dreams she'd buried to make room for mine. She told me about the times she'd felt invisible in our own home. One night she looked at me with those tired, beautiful eyes and said, "Peter, promise me one thing. If you ever find someone else, don't try to be a good husband. Just try to be a present one." We wasted so much time being right instead of being close. She died 3 days later. I held her hand until the very end, and when the monitor finally flatlined, I realized I was holding the hand of a woman I had lived with for 40 years, but only truly known for 4 months. Now I walk through this house, and every corner is a reminder of a conversation I shut down. I see the kitchen walls that I insisted be gray, and they look like the walls of a cell. I see the armchair where she used to sit and read, and I remember how many times I walked past her without even brushing my hand against her shoulder. I was so efficient. I was so productive. But what is productivity worth when you're producing a life that no one wants to live in?
I spend my evenings reading her journal, and it's like she's talking to me from beyond the veil. On the last page, written only a week before she got sick, she wrote, "I hope Peter knows I loved him. I just wish he had loved me back with more than just his paycheck and his silence." I read those words and I want to scream. I want to go back and tell her I'm sorry. I want to tell her that the yellow kitchen was a beautiful idea. I want to tell her that Scotland was more important than the interest rates. But you can't apologize to a headstone. Gravity doesn't work that way.
I see young couples now out at dinner or walking in the park, and I want to stop them. I see the husband looking at his phone while his wife is trying to tell him something. I see the wife rolling her eyes because her husband's being illogical again. I want to grab that man by the collar and say, "Put the phone down. Look at her. Really look at her. Because one day you're going to be 73, and you'd give every dollar in your retirement account just to see her roll her eyes at you one more time." We think we have forever. We think the people we love are permanent fixtures in our lives, like the furniture or the trees in the yard. They aren't. They are fragile, breathing miracles that can be taken away in a single Tuesday afternoon checkup. We build these invisible walls of being right and being busy, and we don't realize that we're just building our own solitude. Last month, I finally went. I booked a flight to Scotland. I walked the moors of the Highlands just like Susan wanted. I stood on the cliffs of Skye and watched the mist roll in over the green hills. It was breathtaking. It was exactly as she had described it. But I was alone. Every time I saw something beautiful, I turned to my side to show her, and there was nothing but the cold wind. I realized then that a dream realized alone isn't a victory. It's a ghost. I spent 40 years being practical, and all it got me was a first-class ticket to a place I should have visited 30 years ago with the woman I loved. Don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait for the interest rates to drop, or the kids to be grown, or the promotion to arrive. The perfect time is a myth we invent to protect ourselves from the terrifying reality that life is happening right now.
So, here is my confession. I was a successful man, but a failed husband. I was right about everything, and I ended up with nothing. If you're listening to this, and you have someone waiting for you at home, someone who still asks you to dance, or someone who still wants to tell you about their day, count yourself among the luckiest people on earth. And then do me a favor. Stop being right. Stop winning the arguments. Stop providing and start participating. Choose being close over being correct every single time. Because when the lights go out and the house gets quiet, you won't remember the arguments you won. You'll only remember the moments you were brave enough to be vulnerable. You'll remember the dances you didn't take and the trips you didn't go on. And believe me, those memories will be the heaviest things you'll ever carry.
My name is Peter, and I wasted 41 years being correct. Don't waste yours. If she wants the yellow kitchen, buy the paint tomorrow. If she wants to see Scotland, book the tickets tonight. Don't wait for someday, because someday is a thief that steals your life while you're busy making plans. Go home, hug her, listen to her, be there, not just in the room, but in the moment. While there is still time, choose love over logic, because in the end, love is the only thing that actually makes sense. Thank you for listening to my story. If this reached you at the right moment, please subscribe and share it. Maybe we can save a few marriages tonight. Maybe we can help someone see that being close is the only victory that matters. The clock is ticking for all of us. What are you gonna do with your next hour?